Good evening on World News Tonight. Bangladesh elections. Bangladesh held its first national election since a student-led uprising last year and has secured a sweeping election victory by the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Tariff talks. Trump administration have signed a final reciprocal trade agreement that confirmed the US tariff rate for imports from Taiwan. Mending Hearts. Australian scientists are working on mending broken hearts, creating a high-tech bandage that could prevent the onset of heart failure.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Amarsha Fernando.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on World News Tonight on other Derana News channel. Tonight we begin with the updates of the elections held in Bangladesh. People in Bangladesh are expressing hope for peace and stability after a sweeping election victory by the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. The BNP secured a decisive two-thirds majority in the general election, a vote widely seen as the country's first truly competitive race in years.
Celebrations broke out in Dhaka as results confirmed a landslide win for the Bangladesh Nationalist Party or BNP. According to domestic television counts, the BNP and its allies captured at least 212 of the 299 parliamentary seats up for grabs, well over the threshold needed to form government. The opposition Jamaat-e-Islami and its allies secured 70 seats in the Jatiya Sangsad, also known as the House of the Nation. The decisive outcome follows months of unrest that shook the South Asian nation of 175 million people. Former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was ousted after a Gen Z-led uprising triggered widespread protests and deadly clashes. The instability disrupted daily life and hit key industries, including Bangladesh's garment sector, where the country ranks second globally in exports. Many voters say they hope the clear mandate will restore order and revive economic confidence. BNP leader Tariq Rahman is widely expected to be sworn in as Prime Minister. The son of party founder and former President Ziaur Rahman, he returned to Dhaka in December after nearly 2 decades of self-imposed exile in London. Political analysts say the strong parliamentary majority could allow the new government to move quickly on reforms, but challenges remain in uniting a deeply divided nation.
Trump administration officials have signed a final reciprocal trade agreement that confirmed a 15% US tariff rate for imports from Taiwan, while committing Taiwan to schedule for eliminating or lowering tariffs on nearly all US goods.
The US and Taiwan have struck a deal to cut tariffs. Trump administration officials have signed a final agreement that confirmed a 15% US rate for imports from Taiwan, down from 20% initially proposed. The deal also commits Taiwan to a schedule for eliminating or lowering tariffs on nearly all US goods, and sees it pledged to significantly boost buying of goods from the United States. That includes purchases of liquefied natural gas, crude oil, civil aircraft and engines, power grid equipment and generators, and marine and steel-making gear. The deal will also immediately eliminate Taiwan's tariffs on many US agricultural imports, including beef, dairy, and corn. But some levies, including the 40% on pork belly meat and 32% on ham, will only fall to 10%. The deal builds on a framework agreement reached in January that also includes a pledge by Taiwan that its companies would invest $250 billion to boost production of semiconductors, energy, and AI products in the US. Taiwan President Lai Ching-te emphasized the importance of the trade deal.
This round of tariff negotiations is also a very important opportunity. Its purpose is precisely this, to enable our industries to go global, whether it's TSMC or other industries, as long as their research and development centers are in Taiwan. Their advanced manufacturing processes are in Taiwan, and their largest production capacity is in Taiwan. Taiwan can continue to develop steadily.
The finalized agreement will need approval by Taiwan's parliament, where the opposition has a majority.
Japan says it has agreed with the United States to speed up talks on the first round of projects under its $550 billion investment package, but officials acknowledge that the key details still need to be worked out.
Speaking in Washington on Thursday, Japan's Trade Minister Ryose Akazawa said negotiations with the United States have been intense. Akazawa told reporters both countries are defending their national interests as they work to finalize the first batch of agreements under Tokyo's massive $550 billion investment pledge. The package was announced as part of a broader deal aimed at easing U.S. tariffs on Japanese exports. Since then, Washington has been pressing Tokyo to accelerate implementation. Akazawa said some issues remain unresolved, including assessments of financial metrics such as projected interest rates for individual projects. He added that discussions are moving forward with Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's upcoming visit to the United States in mind, with both sides hoping to deliver concrete progress before that trip. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has warned that South Korea could face higher tariffs if it does not move more quickly on similar agreements reached last year. Japan's investment package is expected to include equity investments, loans and loan guarantees backed by state-owned institutions, including the Japan Bank for International Cooperation and Nippon Export and Investment Insurance. Officials say accelerating the first phase of projects could ease trade tensions and reinforce economic ties between Tokyo and Washington.
North Korea's Kim Yo-jong has called South Korea's regret over a reported drone incursion sensible, but warned of harsh response if similar incidents happen again. This comes after Seoul's unification minister expressed regret over drones allegedly sent to the north by civilians and said South Korea is pursuing peaceful coexistence between the two Koreas.
The younger sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has responded to South Korea's recent expression of regret over a drone incursion, calling the move sensible, while demanding concrete steps to prevent a repeat. In a statement carried by the North's Korean Central News Agency on Friday, Kim Yo-jong said it was fortunate that South Korean Unification Minister Chung Dong-young officially expressed regret over what Pyongyang called a drone intrusion into its territory. She said she appreciated the remark as sensible behavior. Earlier this week, Chung voiced regret over drones allegedly sent to the north by civilians and said Seoul is pursuing mutual recognition and peaceful coexistence between the two Koreas. Kim Yo-jong, however, stressed that responsibility ultimately lies with the South Korean government. She said Pyongyang is less concerned about who organized the flights, whether individuals or private groups, and more focused on what it calls a serious violation of sovereignty and national airspace. She also issued a warning saying any recurrence of what the North views as provocations would trigger a harsh response. According to her statement, one of several counterattack options would be selected, and the response would go beyond proportionality. Kim's remarks on Seoul's response, however, were not published in the Nodong Shimun, the North's main newspaper for domestic readers.
Let's go into a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. And welcome back. NATO Defense Minister met yesterday to discuss new commitments to support Ukraine as the war with Russia moves into its fifth year. The talks focus on boosting air defenses and maintaining the flow of US weapons to Kyiv.
Meeting under the framework of Ukraine Defense Contact Group, allied defense ministers reviewed fresh funding pledges aimed at strengthening Ukraine's military capabilities. British Defense Secretary John Healey announced that the United Kingdom is committing £150 million, about $205 million to the Prioritized Ukraine Requirements Lists or PURL initiative. The program was established last summer to ensure US weapons continued reaching Ukraine at a time when new American military assistance had stalled. Through the scheme, allied nations help fund purchases of US-made air defense systems and other critical equipment for Kyiv. US Ambassador to NATO Matthew Whitaker said allies had already pledged more than $4.5 billion through the program. Ukrainian Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov urged partners to step up deliveries of PAC-3 interceptor missiles, citing ongoing Russian ballistic missile strikes that have targeted and damaged Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Fedorov also called for tighter reinforcement of sanctions against Moscow, including stronger measures to block tankers transporting sanctioned Russian oil. Officials say continued unity among allies remains essential as Ukraine faces sustained attacks and mounting pressure on the battlefield.
Australia's opposition Liberal Party elected former Energy Minister Angus Taylor as its new leader, replacing Susan Lee, as the Conservatives seek to rebuild less than a year after a heavy election defeat by the centre-left Labor Party.
A glance to the heavens after a hell of a week. The first woman to lead the Liberal Party on the first day of the rest of her life.
The choice is simple for the Liberal Party: change or die, and I choose change.
Angus Taylor becoming the 17th leader of the Liberal Party by a margin of 17 votes. Victorian Senator Jane Hume emerging from a contested field as deputy. The new team promising more homes, fewer migrants and lower taxes, despite this response to the pre-election tax cut last year.
I just find it hard to believe the party of Robert Menzies would be going to an election with a higher income tax offer than Labor.
We are not matching this election bribe. I'm particularly conscious that we got some big calls wrong, especially on personal income tax, and it won't happen again.
Susan Lee, who had walked in flanked by supporters, exiting the party room and politics, walking out with fewer by her side. From Anthony Albanese, congratulations to Susan Lee for the grace and dignity she's shown on a very difficult day.
She is a great person and a great Liberal.
The actions of police at a protest against the visit of Israeli President Isaac Herzog in Sydney will be formally investigated by the watchdog after a significant number of complaints.
The force was formidable and now subject to a probe. The police watchdog announcing there will be an independent investigation into the actions of police on Monday night after receiving a significant number of complaints.
We saw police misconduct on full display. We saw police violence. Members of our community who came to protest peacefully set upon by police.
A statement by the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission reading, "It is in the public interest to investigate the police operation, including incidents of alleged misconduct." Among the controversial scenes of chaos, this. New South Wales Police today confirming a senior officer agreed to let the Muslim protesters continue praying, but that direction wasn't relayed in time. The Police Commissioner reiterating, "I have apologised for any offence taken for interfering with that religious process."
And it was only this brave police officer who came out and said that I did give them consent that now has compelled the Commissioner to sort of silently put a press release out, which isn't sufficient.
White House boarder Sir Tom Homan said Trump has agreed to end his unprecedented and hotly protested deportation operations in Minnesota, with many immigration enforcement agents set to return to their home states over the next week.
I have proposed, and President Trump has concurred, that this surge operation conclude.
U.S. President Donald Trump's border czar Tom Homan said on Thursday that the unprecedented deportation surge in Minnesota was ending and that many immigration and customs enforcement agents will return to their home states.
A significant drawdown has already been underway this week and will continue through the next week.
Trump had deployed about 3,000 armed agents by late January to deport migrants in Minnesota. The surge has led to tumultuous scenes in Minneapolis, where residents have taken to the streets in protest against masked agents in military-style gear. On different days in January, immigration agents fatally shot 2 U.S. citizens who had come out to protest or observe the agents. The deportation sweeps have been staunchly opposed by elected officials in the state, including Democratic Governor Tim Walz. In a statement, he said, quote, "The long road to recovery starts now." As Homan made his announcement, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison was in Washington, testifying before a Senate committee that oversees Homeland Security.
This surge is all about what Donald Trump said it was all about. In a true social post on January 13th, he wrote, "Retribution and reckoning was coming to Minnesota." This war on Minnesota is retribution, to be sure.
ICE out! Outside the Capitol, activists from Minnesota, including Patty O'Keefe, expressed their outrage over the surge of ICE agents in their state.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota, we'll keep fighting back against this complete unraveling of our constitutional rights and of our dignity. But we won't let them take that from us, our dignity.
Homan said he would remain in Minnesota to oversee the drawdown of agents and ensure its success.
Time for a short break now. We'll be right back with more world news. And welcome back. Australian scientists are working on mending broken hearts, creating a high-tech bandage that could prevent the onset of heart failure and could revolutionize the way patients are treated in hospital.
Anne Larkin started feeling sick on her morning commute.
This really nice young man on the tram said to me, "Are you okay?" And I said, I don't think I am.
She was having a heart attack, a health emergency that sends someone to hospital in Australia every 9 minutes. 1/3 of patients later develop heart failure.
It loses its ability to work and pump that blood, and as a result of that, a number of tissues and organs around the body can fail.
Now, this tiny band-aid could mend broken hearts after a heart attack. The patch is made of silk combined with stem cell nanoparticles. It's placed over the damaged area of the heart and over time releases the nanoparticles, which travel deep into the tissue, sending signals for the surviving cells to repair and regenerate.
We hope that by reducing this scarring, it will also increase the function of the heart.
Patients would be patched up at the same time a stent is put in to widen a blocked artery.
So the idea is to reopen the blood flow and then put the patch in so that the regeneration process can kick in.
Scientists at the Baker Heart and Diabetes Institute are also developing a drug to be administered via an IV drip, with the aim of transforming harmful scar tissue.
What we're trying to do is target the cells that form the scar and make them back into muscle.
A historic home in New York City may be hiding more than just 19th century furniture. The Merchants Home Museum says a recently uncovered secret passageway could link the home to underground railroads.
This house-turned-museum in New York City has been keeping a secret.
We have an access point here, and it extends 1 floor below, but we're not sure whether there was a door below that.
The Merchants House Museum believes this passageway, hidden in a dresser, was a stop on the Underground Railroad. Even some northern states weren't safe for those escaping slavery.
Even though enslavement was not legal in New York was a pro-slavery place, and it was very dangerous.
The museum tells the story of a wealthy merchant and his family who lived in the house with their Irish servants. But directors say they recently discovered that the home's architect and its first occupant was an abolitionist named Joseph Brewster.
He was called to be a leader at a new church. And we know that as a leader in this church, he approved another secret space in that church.
Curators say they still have many unanswered questions about the hidden passageway, but knowing this home was possibly used to help people escape to freedom makes their little museum even more special.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hope of seeing you again, I'm Marsha Fernando, and we leave you tonight with the visuals of cheerful Germans marking the start of Street Carnival in Cologne. Do share your feedback with us via email at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Thank you for watching World News Tonight on other Derana News channel. Have a good night.